Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Final Show Films. I'm Sen, your executive producer. I want to thank you all for tuning in. I particularly want to thank our Patreon supporters over at patreon.com/fsfilms. Specifically, our $25 tier supporters over there, who are Samantha Bates, Vivian Alexander, Cat Waterflame, and Elle, without whom we wouldn't be able to do nearly as much of the things we do now. So, thank you very much for your support over the years and for your continued support. And if you're watching live, please sit back, relax, and enjoy. We're live! Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Gran Terra, Shadowfront. I am Sen, your game master for the evening. I am joined this week by Nikki.
Hi everyone, it's me, Nikki. I play Scuzz, a goblin rogue, who's currently on a fishing trip with his, I almost said dad. No, it's with Grummond. Not my dad. I think.
The more you say that, the more likely it is to become true.
You definitely called him your dad, basically called him your dad last week.
And Mara.
Hi, I'm Mara, and today I'm playing Titania Valkorian, Eladrin Druid of the Grim Harvest.
As opposed to yesterday.
Yes, it's supposed to yesterday.
And Craig.
Hi, I am playing Scuzz's dad, Grummond Bellmender, a dwarf Way the Drunken Master Monk.
I mean, Drunken Master, you know. Things happen.
You're not gonna go get cigarettes, are you?
I know the entirety of my character concept, but...
And Holly.
Hi, I'm Holly. I am playing Vespia, Tiefling Chandler.
Channeler.
You're
not
I'm
Chandler.
sorry.
Could you be more of a tiefling?
Yes.
Somebody
Yes,
had to do it. I'm sorry.
I'm so proud of you.
And William.
Hi, I'm William, and I'm playing Valdeth, the Dwarven Samurai.
And Jeremy.
Hi, I'm Jeremy. I am playing Sin, Changeling Warlock, who is also fishing, but is nobody's parent.
Are you fishing for compliments? Because Scuzz will give them to you readily.
And
You're very pretty, and I like your accent.
And Dakota.
Dakota, I'm playing Ithram Valar, Hobgoblin War Wizard.
We will unfortunately not be joined this week by Elana or Jack. They both should be back next week, though. So that'd be nice. Have a full house again, maybe. 3 of you just leave next week. Anyways, as always, Black Lives Matter. It's about human rights. And
If you have a uterus, or don't, you have all rights to now go get a guillotine for no apparent reason. Just
it's
in case you feel like it.
It's 2022. It's time to bring back the guillotine. Yes, I agree.
Yeah.
You know what? It's been sitting in the closet for long enough. Anyways, when last we left off,
Guillotines on front yard.
I have a trebuchet.
That works too.
Cool.
When last we left
Mara,
off,
we get it. You're a librarian.
are the books delivered via trebuchet?
No.
Why not?
No, that's how you file them, John.
Oh, okay.
They should be.
I mean,
Trebuchet fires, and just a book comes soaring at your house.
You know, the way the librarians used to
The
look
way that we're going right
was a
now,
kid,
everyone getting sick and we needing
they
to
had
social
one for the
distance. Sorry, Greg, I didn't mean to talk over you.
You're
I
fine.
mean, what's the maximum range on a trebuchet? You could get some distance with some books.
I'm just picturing a delivery truck that's like a regular pickup truck, but with a trebuchet mounted in the bed in the back, and they just pull up to someone's house and rotate the trebuchet and just fire the books they're delivering.
Ooh,
had
new
one-
paperboy methods.
I have legitimately seen that when I was in high school. They're awesome.
Look,
What, a truck-mounted trebuchet?
Yes.
Now,
Look,
Yes.
one kid is really gung hoing for an architect,
Engineering. degree.
engineering. One of those
Sorry.
two, maybe both.
Siege engineer.
sorry, I just saw a question because I was looking up the range of a trebuchet because I had an idle thought and had to answer it. And for some reason, someone doesn't know how possibly a trebuchet could be an effective weapon when a longbow had twice the range of a trebuchet. To which
It's not the range that matters.
They're a little bit bigger of.
So sweetie, you know how you
Let's
have to
explain
use both
caliber
hands?
weapons.
The trebuchet requires no hands,
well, not even that.
and it's girthier. Wait, sorry. What are we talking about?
The ammunition you can hold 30 of the ammunition that a longbow shoots. It takes 30 of you to lift the ammunition that a trebuchet shoots. That's the reason.
Not even apples to oranges. That's apples to horses.
We're playing Dungeons and Dragons.
We are. I'm
sorry.
sorry. I got distracted.
Debatable at this point.
300
You said
meters, by the
something
way.
about. You said something about trebuchets having more girth, and now all I can think of is railgun.
300 meters was the purported maximum range of a loaded trebuchet.
Smash, which is what a trebuchet does, because it's a siege
yes.
weapon. It's a siege weapon.
Anyways,
It can smash me up against a wall.
Smash.
Yeah.
I mean,
Welcome to my new Isekai game where you date siege weapons.
Oh my God! Why is that not a thing?
Siege
I
weapon.
mean,
you
boyfriend dungeon is already a thing. You just
There's
same
also already
concept,
like
just
there's also
siege
already one
weapons.
where you date like literal like battleships.
Battle tanks. There's one that's
Well,
tanks.
there's
Yeah.
Yes,
battleships
but
is
they're
an
not
anime, but
siege
yeah.
weapons.
Exactly, they're not siege weapons.
It's like
so
dating
Not
medieval
good
siege
enough.
weapons.
I'm so sorry. I keep sidetracking us.
Fire.
Look, I just sometimes you just want to really date a mangonel. Anyways, when last we left off, 30 tangents ago, the Steelhearts arrived at the goddess's bosom. Yes, which is a small resort island in the Shattered Lands that is sort of dedicated to the goddess of love and desire, Aradnir. Where they promptly decided to go on a vacation of sorts. Some of them went fishing, some of them went different activity, and eventually we found ourselves at one of the temples of Aradnir on the island with Titania asking a particular question of a priest who is sitting off to one side painting. Light brown skin, dark hair with sort of whitish blonde tips, wearing just the sort of the bottom half of the traditional robes of priests of Radnir, who is now looking with a confused look at Titania, and had just said, "I'm sorry, could you run that by me again?"
I think the God Emperor of Taram can take control of other gods' servants or something like that. So wondering if have you noticed anything weird in the past year?
He sort of very calmly takes the paintbrush, puts it down with the what's it called?
Easel.
No,
Palette?
easel's what the palette. Thank you. Easel's what the painting is on. The palette is the thing that the paint is on.
I mean,
But yeah, puts it on the palette and sort of like tucks the palette onto a small side table.
I mean, theoretically, if he's been doing his job, the paint is on both.
The painting is on one.
We are not getting through tonight.
Another. So and then sort of turns to fully directly face you, Titania. He sort of leans in. He's like sort of silvery elven eyes, just like looking you from like forehead down to shoulder, up to and then back across from like eye to eye, as if he's trying to read something that isn't visible directly on your face.
Okay.
And it's sort of like he hasn't responded yet. He's sort of pausing. He's like chewing on his tongue almost as he's sort of thinking about what you have asked him and how he's going to respond. You're not a priest, are you?
No.
If you could give me 5 minutes. And he sort of turns and walks off into...
Sure,
another
I'm
room.
not drunk. This is-
It didn't seem like he was... It didn't seem like
Okay.
he was thinking you were drunk. It's certainly enigmatic, and make a religion check for me.
Sure.
You didn't think you were
I've
drunk.
been
This
good at
is
these so
much
far.
more indicative of a shroom trip.
8.
I was gonna say he wasn't thinking it before. It's on the list now, though.
What
Oh.
do Karens usually take when they demand to see a manager?
I'm
Not
in
that
the
that's Titania's
wrong-
energy.
I just realized I'm in the wrong game on Stream Observer.
John.
That's no good.
John.
Usually they're mainlining
It's okay.
their own
So is Holly.
self-importance.
No, Holly's here.
No, I'm not.
Holly's in here.
Holly's
You're in
there.
your
Holly's also in the werewolf game.
I'm in both.
Look, just because Holly wants to be in both, don't kink shame her, okay? Jeez.
Okay, there. Oh, it's there. Was it
Look at that,
8?
left that open.
You haven't really interacted with you've interacted on like sort of a more base level with followers of Radnir. You never really interacted on a more social level with the priests of Radnir, so you're not certain if this is just like this is somebody who's clearly delusional and going to go get help, or if it's going to get something else sort of
Okay.
reaction. But it does step into a side room. Do you wait?
Yeah.
Okay. About 5 minutes later, the door opens and he comes back out. This time now he is now wearing the full robes of a priest of Radnir. Which are just these like sort of purple silk with a sort of a light pink sash with a blue trim around it. It's a very, very light robe that doesn't cover his arms. It doesn't really cover his neck or clavicle. It's mostly just like sort of, it's almost toga-esque, like sort of transforming from toga into like full-on robe.
Still smash.
And
Thank you, Jeremy.
now with like a belt that sort of wrapped around the robe that has a couple of different pouches and a pair of red they look like they're woven of some sort of fabric or some sort of what's the textile term for what rope is?
Fiber.
Fiber. Thank you. Some sort of fibrous material. Whips. A pair of whips on one hip.
Double.
Yes, 2 whips. Because
Yes, that's what I meant for sure.
dual wielders. Pause for
I'm
effect.
keeping it in. I'm keeping it in. I'm keeping it
For those that don't know this bit of trivia, the Japanese term for bisexual is dual wielder, as in wielder of 2 swords.
Yes.
So,
Uh-huh.
in. My axe swings both ways, just like me.
anyways, the so it goes back out with sort of looking more like he's ready to travel. Walks back up to you. So, I can tell you're not drunk or intoxicated in other ways. You're very serious about this question, which means that you are most likely. It sort of like gives you one more glance over. Obviously, a native of Taram, I'm guessing either adjacent to. Wait, no, you actually introduced yourself as Titania Valkyrie,
Yes.
didn't you?
As the princess,
Uh-huh.
yeah.
Sorry. Back that up real quick.
Full rank.
Back that up real quick. So, while I'm not a Tyrian myself, I am familiar with the Valkyrian royal family. Welcome to our lovely island.
It's really nice.
Thank you. As to your question, the answer is yes, and also you should come with me. And he sort of heads for the exit.
Yeah, I'm following.
All right. You walk out into the fairly. I think it's pretty. You'd headed over here like in the morning, or was it still that night?
We had like arrived early morning, if I'm remembering
Right,
correctly,
right.
and now it's like probably afternoonish.
Yeah, so around a little afternoon. So the streets are a little bit busier than you might expect for a resort town. There are people sort of heading about, going about their day, getting various.
I forget where are Valdeth and Ghent in relation
I
to
left
this.
you
Recovering.
behind.
Okay.
Sorry.
It's fairly busy for a resort town of this particular bent. And as he leads you, he does sort of slightly do a bit of a tour guide thing. He'll start pointing out attractions and sites and places you might be interested in staying. It's very clear that this is sort of a practiced thing that he is doing, just sort of something to keep him occupied as he moves and thinks.
I'd like to do an insight check real quick on the whole it's important you should see this thing, just in case he's leading me into a death trap. I mean,
Go ahead,
I'm
insight check.
paranoid-ish. Not really, but Ghent is paranoid. It's rubbing off on me. 16?
16.
Yeah.
It seems like, from his reaction, like he's very hard to read in general, which you're not used to for religious people, but it seems like he was expecting you would arrive, but not not exactly when. It was more of like a this is a thing that will happen at some point. I just don't know when or where or why, kind of thing.
Okay.
Like your arrival and that question was like the trigger of like a something that has been prepared for a while.
Okay, this is getting weird.
But it doesn't seem openly hostile. But he's hard to read. So
Okay. If we're going by where we were staying at, I might ping for
we'll say yeah. We'll say yeah. We'll say you'll definitely you'll be walking in the vicinity of the hotel.
Hey. So apparently there has been some weird god stuff happening. I'm going to check it out. I'm kind of walking by. Care to join?
Was that to us?
Yeah.
All right, be there shortly. And Valdeth will head out.
Right. We'll say you head out in such a way that you do see Titania having already passed. Titania, are you going to ask your guide to wait for a moment while Valdeth comes out, or are you just gonna?
Yeah. Hang on. My wife and husband are coming.
Oh, all right.
It's very fun.
He sort of pauses, waits. Valdeth and Ghent presumably come out.
Yep.
Hello? You see this very lithe, light brown skin elf that is dressed in purple robes.
Apparently they've seen... There's something I need to see. I told them about...
And you're welcome to come. He says to Valdeth and Ghent.
All right, let's see what kind of nonsense has happened around here.
He continues on. Eventually, you he actually he'll have you stop at a few places. As he'll just say, wait out here, and he'll go inside. And he actually goes to almost in order. Hang on, let me pull this up so I have the names that I need. Why can I never find the things that I need? Okay. He goes to a tavern of Marduk. Comes back out, goes into a Argonian shrine, comes back out, heads into a forge to Belnar, comes back out, and then eventually heads into a Valkyrie shrine, like over towards a Valkyrie shrine, comes back out.
Since it's on this island, is it a lusty Argonian shrine?
Presumably. There are several busty Argonian
That's an Elder
maids.
Scrolls joke.
I know. Which is why I said there are certainly several busty Argonian maids. Anyways. After, sort of doing this stop and start sort of gathering, eventually you end up heading out of town, just sort of along the beach.
Okay.
And he's still doing the tour guide thing as every time as you're walking, sort of pointing out sights and interesting facts and history of the island.
Everyone, do we see the the fishing group?
Make a perception check.
Okay.
Grummond, Scuzz, and Sin, all three of you give me survival checks.
8.
24 on the perception.
Meanwhile, Vespia and Ithram, were you just sort of chilling wherever you had ended up all day, or were you going to go out eventually?
Ithram did leave to pick up something. Can't remember what right now, but I think we were gonna head out after a while.
Vespia?
I think we were heading out a little later in the day.
Anything in particular that you might be looking for? Other than whatever it was that Ithram was looking to buy?
Vespia's just looking. She's not looking for anything particular.
What was it that you were looking for, Dakota?
Yet to be determined. I'm sure it'll hit me as I look through my items list.
All right. Well, I'll describe what's happening over on the boat while you're looking through that. So Grummond and Sin, were you actually fishing, or were you just sort of
No,
sitting there
100%
right.
not.
So Grummond, you've been actually catching a pretty good haul of fish. You'd be catching more if it wasn't for the fact that at the moment, Scuzz somehow had managed to get themselves out of the boat and into one of the empty fish buckets, and was currently sort of treading water, floating in a metal tin, several feet away from the boat, having been caught by a current and is sort of being dragged towards the beach.
Scuzz, no, I keep telling you, being closer to the fish, I agree with you, it seems like it would be better, but it's actually not in this circumstance.
Yeah, but look at all the big fish down here. I can't catch those. Those are bigger than me. One could just eat me right now.
That's
Whee!
one of several reasons I'd really like to encourage you to come back to the boat.
I can't swim.
Little tin bucket just
all
floating
right.
away.
Well,
That's not true. I know how to swim.
What?
And he flips. You ever see a kid in a pool floaty that flips themselves over and suddenly it's just their butt and the floaty? That's what Scuzz is, but it's just the bucket.
It's just so the bucket flips upside down, and Scuzz is now under the water with the bucket on top of them.
Grumman turns and looks at Sin and is like, well, I'll be right back. Here, hold on to this for me, and or I will pass over the rod, the baited rod that he's currently holding to Sin.
Okay. Sin, who has at some point in here has switched to their drow persona, whose name I'm looking up because I don't remember all of my characters' names.
You don't remember
My one
everything when you're
I don't remember my one character's many names. Zara.
Good.
Or wait, yeah, Zara.
Good to know that we've got our midday high seas drow on the
Yes. Well, look,
on the
if you're
fishing boat.
hanging out in the sun and you don't necessarily like it, and
She doesn't need
are,
to see the fish to fish.
Yeah,
Also, she's
exactly.
not fishing.
Exactly.
Drow weirdly well protected against sunburn with like almost completely black skin, right?
Yes. And,
Or purple.
and if you're gonna
Gray.
enjoy a day out and get completely smashed because that's the only reason that they're here hanging out, Sin does it as Zara.
Cool.
Yeah, he just reaches out, grabs the pole, waits long enough until Grumman has gone up, and then just sticks it in the ground and leaves it there.
in like the rod racks on the boat.
One of the
Yeah.
gun rolls. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So Grumman will just I mean, he's already almost certainly just wearing shorts. He just dives in after Scuzz.
All right.
You see little hands coming up, definitely trying to paddle. But again,
Have fun with that.
Great.
I see you're German today.
The drow.
There's not. That's a very short phrase that doesn't get all of. Yeah. Besides,
It's
it's
not
my
a,
accent.
It's not a German accent. It's a drow accent.
Exactly. Can't you tell?
No. So
Well, that's on you.
Ithram, have you figured out what you were looking for?
Yeah, just a couple more charges. Couple more charges for Find Familiar and some gold dust. About
Okay.
50 gold's worth.
So two of you, Vespia and Ithram, go ahead and also make me perception checks then.
Nothing gets past my eagle eyes. Hey, I actually rolled a natural 20.
So with a natural 20 for Ithram, a 15 from Vespia, and a 24 from Titania, you do manage to see and hear the sounds of cacophonous splashing, and look and see not too far off the coast there is a boat in which sits a heavily drinking Zara,
Zara.
Zara,
Zarra.
yeah, Zara, and just off the boat, a familiar dwarf chasing a bucket, rapidly coasting towards the beach. Because the place where you're sort of getting your reagents at them would have been like sort of a small sundry shop, basically just off a dock. So you're both seeing it from two different angles, but you're both seeing this event.
The bucket, is it panic splashing or
it looks more like it definitely looks like someone is trying to like swim, but again they're underwater. So you see little goblin hands poke out.
So make an insight check, Ithram.
he's drowning?
Panicked,
He's
yeah.
drowning.
Yeah, absolutely.
They're using Scuzz's
Terrified.
fate.
How far away
Oh.
is Scuzz from the boat and myself?
From where you're at, from the boat, it's hard to tell because you're a little bit you're on a dock and it's out on water, which is difficult to measure from land at best because it moves.
Yeah.
But
Wait, what?
but from you, somewhere around 100 feet.
I just imagine you going, "My God, Buckets is drowning," and everyone just looks.
Yeah, no, he's gonna run towards the end of the dock and just like reach out and cast Vortex Warp on Scuzz
Yes, use your
and
kind
move him from the water to the boat. No change in orientation, just dumped.
You just see like Again, the bucket's on Scuzz's butt, but he's just doing like the doggy
So-
paddle.
So, Grummond,
Yeah, I have no idea what happened.
make
Fish got him.
make a survival check for me, Grummond.
Okay. But
Scuzz got sucked into a whirlpool.
Because what happened
No.
was
Got
Scuzz
sucked into a
and
riptide.
everything in a 5-foot square around Scuzz was yanked out of reality and reasserted elsewhere. So, Sin,
Just a
you are
bunch of
all of a
seawater.
sudden drenched as
Yes.
as a 5-foot cube of water explodes next to you with Scuzz in a bucket and like one fish bouncing next to him appear in the boat.
Ooh.
Grummond, you are like swimming towards Scuzz and you get right next to Scuzz, and all of a sudden there's a void with air just where you were reaching as you exit the water, and then the rest of the water begins to fill the void, and you don't open your mouth and go, "What?" as the water just slams into you.
Do I catch the fish that was jumping next to me?
Like with a 27? Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
Got it.
I did it! I got a fish!
Quick, and Ithram just dropped everything, goes, "Ah!" runs, and then does that.
I love your response to Scuzz might be drowning is I gotta drop everything and go get the goblin.
Go help a friend.
I hope Scuzz
Are
doesn't
you
kill Ithram
okay?
at some point. I got a fish!
Oh, okay.
Grummond
I
resurfaces.
don't think he was drowning.
I'm realizing that now.
So pat Ithram on the shoulder.
Grummond resurfaces, sort of takes account of what's going on, and goes, "That's a nice one you got."
Scuzz standing up, again, bucket on butt, so like that just... I did it! I got a fish!
Donald Duck stance the entire time right
Good,
now.
good work, lad. And I'll start swimming back to the boat.
I've never seen the water do that before, but that was cool.
So, Tanya, yes, you saw all of that.
Cool.
I have teleportation powers now? Can I
Hi.
teleport what?
That looks like it's been fun. Apparently other gods have had similar weird things happening. I'm talking to a priest right now. He's showing us something apparently interesting. Anyone want to join?
Which is something that Ithram and Scuzz here, because Grummond, Vespia, and Sin all don't have,
That's right.
do
Yep.
not have the
Excellent. Beautiful.
link pearls.
Yeah.
Grummond is in the background, pulling himself up onto the boat. He like flips his head as he comes up, like a Farrah Fawcett move, except it's his mutton chops that are just like slow motion.
I imagine it's the mutton chops. And do you have your spectral hands out?
No, not right now.
Mutton chops still look really great. It's because like I caught a fish, and apparently now I can teleport just when I think about it.
That's fantastic.
Right?
Maybe it was a teleporting fish. Can I look at the fish?
Sure, give me a nature check. Scuzz, you did get that message from Titania. Ithram, you did as well.
I'm sorry, I was looking through my notes, so I missed.
Basically, hi, that looks like
Backburner,
you've
we
been
gotta
having
figure out
fun,
this fish.
But there's this weird god stuff happening. Are you interested in joining? We're passing by.
Yeah.
Yeah. Scuzz relays this to Zara and Grummond.
And Ithram will relay it to Vespia and be like, "Oh, spots Titania. And there's news."
Scuzz is going to. Scuzz is like, if it's a teleportation fish, it's very precious, so we have to take care of it. So Scuzz pulls out his dagger that can open up a small, like, safety box, and he puts the fish inside of it.
I got a 16. I know it's not.
With a 16, Craig or Grummond, you are pretty certain that this is a fish called an Oscar.
Right.
Which
so
is a
we've got-
legitimate fish, by the way.
Yeah. No, that's just an Oscar. As far as I know,
Hello,
most of them
Oscar.
don't teleport. This one might be a wizard. Let's hold on to it just in case. If it, I tell you what, if it can teleport out of your box, great. If not, it'll make a fine dinner. How far from the dock are we? Like
About 100 feet or so.
so a minute and a half worth of rowing.
Depending on how strong you row, yes.
All right, so Grumman will sort of sit down, ship the oars, and then turn to Zara and say, "Right, you got about 90 seconds to finish off the booze we brought with us," and I'll start rowing back to shore.
I am amused that you think that I am not doing this already.
I couldn't hear that. I'm sorry.
I am amused that you do not think that I am done with it already.
Very impressed.
Gus looks at both like all three of them and is like, I'm sorry if myself and Oscar got everybody wet here. I know that's the danger of the fishing game, but we didn't think we would get teleporting fish. So my bee and Scuzz will then cast prestidigitation and dry us all off before we get to the
All
shore.
three of them, meaning you, Grummond, and Sin, or Oscar, Grummond, and Sin?
Oscar is in the knife teleporting or little safety box.
Yeah, I just want to make sure I understand who Scuzz is prestidigitating.
Scuzz can't prestidigitate the fish. It needs water to breathe, he says as he puts it in an extra dimensional portal area
Where
where there's
no air
definitely no water.
whatsoever.
No water, no air.
Oh.
It won't decompose. There's no air for bacteria.
No, it's just going
Yeah.
to slowly starve to death. It's going to slowly suffocate.
That's
Vacuum
fine.
seal.
Oscar's my buddy,
Not
my teleporting
slowly.
fish buddy.
Pretty damn quick.
Quickly suffocate.
Yeah.
He's not thinking very straight. He's waterlogged.
The thought just went through my brain, and because it went through mine, I have to share it with the rest of you.
Mhm.
Do fish shit themselves when they suffocate to death?
Yeah, probably.
You're
I don't
welcome.
Fucking no.
They definitely piss themselves when you catch them. Because
When
they're in
they
distress.
suffocate to death, no, they don't.
How do you know that?
Not from my experience.
How many fish have you suffocated, Holly?
Not going to talk about that right now. Let's just say I have experience.
All right.
Holly's gone fishing before.
I lived on a lake as a kid.
What?
I mean, yeah. That's a good point. I have fished. And
Scuzz is gonna get this bucket off.
Anyways. Eventually you all link up.
Scuzz can't get the bucket off.
Scuzz waddling.
As
As
his way
buttery
to
as
the
this
dock.
goblin is, he is stuck. He is airlocked to
Well,
this bucket.
that's the problem, is that it's stuck on your clothes and your hands are too buttery to remove it.
Formed a seal.
that was definitely not the type of what I expected to get on this island, but whatever.
Not a seal, William, a duck.
Duck, and Scuzz will immediately duck down into the sand. What other kind of what can you get if you're not like on the beach in the water?
Never mind.
This is the rest of our adventuring party.
I like how you
They're very
rolled. I
professional.
like how you rolled an L in those two words that did not have
Yes!
an L in them.
Yes.
Never mind.
Yeah.
A shirtless
Do you
dwarf.
question the drow accent?
Yes, constantly.
You're wrong for doing so. Have you learned nothing?
Look, some people pronounce their W's V's and their V's W's, and sometimes you just add L's. Look, the French add consonants and consonants just somewhere.
And then take them away.
Yeah.
Mowage.
Mowed. Anyway,
There's a when you
Language is a construct.
that Jeremy's constructing right now.
You're welcome.
All right, Craig, you were saying.
No, I nothing important. I was just saying you're like this the rest of my adventuring party. There's a shirtless dwarf waving at you from a boat.
Yep.
Shirtless dwarf, goblin stuck in a bucket, disgruntled drow, happy couple,
Ah.
other happy couple, and the priest.
Yep.
This is a comedy of errors if I ever saw one.
Happy couple, happy throuple. Thank you very much.
You are
Yes.
correct. Thank you. Yes.
And the ex-cop who isn't here.
Is a cop?
Annabella, ex-cop.
That's just guys. Just like, is a cop where? My name's Brian with the silent B. I'm afraid of. I'm allergic to insects.
Stop. Where's the bee?
There's a bee.
Ow. Okay.
Oh no.
What is that from? And
It's dumb. I'll find it, but we gotta go play D&D.
That's gotta be a TikTok somewhere. This is
Sticky
playing-
virtual high five.
Anyways, so you gather your party before venturing forth, and the priest leads you a little bit further a ways down the beach, before very abruptly turning off the path that he's been sort of following. And as he turns off the path, the tourist guide mode stops. And he still hasn't introduced himself to any of you, by the way. He heads into what seems at first to just sort of be a bit of like you know that particular kind of brush that grows at the top of the hill before the slope that is a beach.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
That-
seagrass.
Is that what it's called? I can never think. I never knew what the
Yeah.
actual like plant was, but it's that.
Yeah.
Leads you into just sort of like what looks like sort of a bushel of that. And as he
Okay.
sort of passes halfway through it, he disappears.
Okay. Interesting. I'll go through.
So,
as Tanya passes halfway through, she disappears.
So are we? Right then, following on through.
Yep.
She follow behind. Once you hit that point, you realize that it's an illusion because as you step through, you find yourselves at sort of just stepping through. There is a statue that you can't see from further away, and in fact, the brush is sort of trimmed back a little bit, and this area is much more easy to walk than it first appears like it would be once you get past that halfway point. And the statue is some sort of crumbled depiction of some sort of bipedal figure previously. There's not enough features of it left to identify who it was once of. But it is. Anyone who wants to make me a religion check as you're sort of looking at it as you're approaching.
This was a rather nice trick. Grumman Billminder, by the way, of the Swiggle Billminders. And Titania, who's your friend?
Priest of
Pretty sure.
Radonir.
You're a priest whose name is Priest. Well, that's a happy coincidence.
Yeah, no, none. Anyone else making that religion roll?
I am 14.
I might as well. I can roll badly. Religion. 10.
So, Sin, you're the only one that recognizes this. Or you don't really recognize it, but you recognize something odd about the statue. This is not one statue, or at least it's not a statue of one figure. What's left of it, you can see, seems to be some sort of cobbled together figure. The bits and pieces of what's left are not all the same person. It's like somebody took 15 different statues and glued them together to make a single statue. But all that's left of that is like these bits of weathered destruction. You're the only one that recognizes. For everyone, it's just a weathered old statue. In response to Grumman's question, the elf turns and looks. Pardon. Very rude of me. I'm Soleil, priest of Radonir.
Nice to meet you, Soleil.
Hello.
Pleasure. This way, if you would.
Grumman will rattle off everybody else's name if they don't seem like they're introducing themselves.
And Valdeth will introduce herself as Valdeth, Jarl of House Stone, or sorry, Thane of House Stonebeard of Everstone.
Wait to see if anyone else wants to introduce themselves or let Grumman do
Whatever
it.
you decided did not come through on the mic, John.
I'm waiting to see if anyone else wants to introduce themselves or just let Grumman do it.
I'm happy to let Grumman do it.
Ithram will introduce himself just as a magus.
Grumman will, by the way, introduce Sin and Zara.
Right.
No further comment on that.
Oh. Come with me. And he sort of steps around behind this crumbled statue and sort of reveals that there's a trap door just behind it that he sort of pulls open, and inside there is this sort of carved earthen staircase that leads down, and he heads down into what is a much cooler than up above sort of interior to this area underneath the statue. And following him down, you find yourselves eventually in a fairly large open room in which there are several figures. Everyone make a religion check. Another one.
Out of curiosity, the statue up above, and I understand, it just looked like a bunch cobbled together, like a weathered statue. Was it all humanoid, or were there like animal parts on it?
Hard to tell from your role.
I'm just okay.
I mean, you couldn't tell it was cobbled together, but Sin was able to tell that the parts that Sin could see seemed humanoid.
Seemed humanoid, right? Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just curious. Well, even worse that time. I'm just curious if it was like was it blip dual poop or whatever the Kuatoa god is? One with a crayfish head.
Less good this time.
Hey, buddies!
Guys is too busy trying to get this damn
To
bucket
be
off.
fair, Sin is very drunk.
That's true. I really should be rolling these at disadvantage.
So, Vespia and
Just for fun.
Ithram.
See if I can get below 4.
Sure.
Inside this room, you see there are several figures that you all see. Some of you recognize some of them, but Vespia and Ithram are the only ones that recognize all of them. Inside here, there are priests of Kor, Belnar, Argon, Elenir Rathis, Marduk, the Elemental Chaos. Now there is a priest of Radnir, there only being one of each. Valkyr, the Sundered God, Dagoth, Larithia, and Kultir. Most of the primary Triad Pantheon. And the room isn't particularly decorated, you could just tell from the way they are dressed and carry themselves. And the particular colors of what they're wearing. And they all sort of seem to have been gathered in what, as far as you can tell right now, seems to be a library, given the amount of books that have been sort of scattered about tables and bookshelves and side tables in various other storage mechanisms. And Soleil turns to look at the group of you. Welcome to the small gathering of the Apostles of the Apocalypse. We have a few things to share with you, Madam Valkorian. And at that point, we're going to take a break. So, for those of you that are watching live, please stay tuned for these commercial messages. And remember, when we take our break, you take yours. So stand up, stretch your legs, move around, do whatever you need to do. And we'll be back in just a few minutes. We're back. A dinosaur story. So, you're in a room with a whole bunch of priests. And they just introduced themselves, or Soleil has just introduced themselves as the Apostles of the Apocalypse.
I like the alliteration.
Thank you, Soleil says. He
Are you
seems-
actually planning the apocalypse?
I'm assuming DC is not just some sort of fancy, funny name, ironic or something like that.
No. To both parts. Several of us have been receiving visions from our gods regarding the end of days. And it's sort of become a bit of a mess worldwide. To the point where we've formed something of a information network, gathering as much information as we can, trying to see what we can do to put a stop to it. It's been narrowed down to be, well, as you already know, it seems, that your God Emperor of Taram, or the current one at least, is doing his best to destroy everything, or at least render it to a state of fiendish utopia. And in doing so she looks like he's trying to search for the correct word. Broken several anathema bands amongst the various gods.
What's anathema mean?
Is that Mara or Tanya?
Tanya.
Okay. Anathema. The easiest way to explain it would be something that is, at its core, the most opposite or most hated thing that a person, in this case the gods, could think of. And all the gods have various bands, things that they are vehemently opposed to, as most sentient beings do. In breaking these bands, Ternalian has, in breaking these bands and not receiving any sort of punishment in return, because he is divine himself, he has siphoned away aspects of the god's powers. Small bits and pieces, but enough that he can, as you said, gain control of certain aspects of their portfolios.
That's terrifying. Which ones exactly? How?
It's not clear specifically what actions he has done. The gods are having difficulty following his actions because it's. And he sort of he seems like he's about to talk about something that's been frustrating him in particular for a while. Divine beings do not have the capacity to follow one another because they can only follow paths of faith as far as comes divination. And a god does not provide faith to other gods, so they cannot view him. If that makes any sense.
Okay.
We're getting into the nitty-gritty of divine mechanics at this point, and it's a little bit frustrating for the clergy of all.
I feel like I should probably ask, just to kind of rule out the possibility with the sorts of year we've been having. You're not all actually the gods in disguise, right?
No, the divine veil that's been in place for millennia prevents them from interfering directly with the mortal planes.
Okay. It's been a weird week.
It's been a weird year.
I'm gonna disagree there.
Put that facts.
So he's siphoning away indeterminate amounts of power to himself,
Yes.
and you don't know what they are because you can't look at. They can't
The
look
power is just aspects of the divine reservoir.
Oh.
They're not specific powers, just splinters.
at. Okay.
We don't know what the bands that he's breaking are, just that he is breaking them.
Well,
This is a lot of conceptual stuff. I think the more important thing is how do we stop these?
That's what we've been researching. So far.
And
There are sacred sites that can be protected, that can be warded against invasion for some amount of time, though as he grows more powerful, his ability to break those wards becomes more powerful. We can protect what we know of and find the remains of what's been broken. To be clear, a ban in this particular case for divine power isn't something like I said a curse word on the wrong day. It's I desecrated a holy site held sacred, or
indeed,
murdered a high priest. He says, and that one he says with a little bit of a venom.
okay.
That
Things-
sorts of things are going on, huh?
Yes.
Based on the iconography and stuff here, is there a priest of Dagoth here? I forgot if you mentioned
Yes,
this.
yes.
Yeah.
There's you don't recognize them, but Ithram and Vespia do. They're not particularly like they're not dressed in in stag horns and black robes with a skull on their face. They're
That's formal wear.
Yeah. This is just casual goth. Does Titania recognize him as well? This person.
With a 15,
With a 15.
because you are specifically a follower, actually yes.
Yeah.
With a 15,
Okay,
yeah, you
cool.
recognize
That's fine.
there's one person in the corner who's still going over books, even though you have all there was a conversation that's been going on. Most of the rest of them are sort of paying attention to you. There's one person that's still in one corner that's sort of flipping through tomes, wearing dark robes. You do recognize that the particular cut is that of a priest of Dagoth. He's not wearing any of the traditional refinery or any of the traditional mantle wear of a priest of Dagoth, but the sort of the robes sort of stand out.
Well, if it helps, we ran into yesterday what was it called?
Soul
Who's
Keeper,
this Soul Herald?
Keeper?
Soul Herald, or one of the other.
Soul
Soul.
Herald of Dagoth that attacked us.
The old man off in one corner does at that pause sort of inclines his head in your direction and then looks back down and starts continuing to read through this tome that he's reading through.
I'm hearing a lot of defense. I am not hearing much in the way of offense.
That's because we haven't found it yet.
Lovely.
There's only so much that our gods can give us or help us with or do. Much of this is on us to find.
This is why I am not devout. Well, we are working on a plan.
Doesn't matter how devout I would be, it's sort of the fact that my deity is somewhat more limited in scope.
We are working on a plan of sorts.
Kill the God Emperor.
I mean, yes, that is I think that solves the problem, does it not?
Yes, that would absolutely solve the problem, if only it were doable.
Oh, it's doable.
Oh,
it's just
it's
not going to be
doable.
easy.
Yes.
They do sort of several of them sort of perk up at that. Particularly the very obvious priest of Marduk. You tell it's a priest of Marduk because his chest is bare and it's full of like bruises and vague smell of alcohol.
far, we have
Smash.
as Mara tries to remember which various
The only thing we've found so
artifacts.
far is the armor.
The armor.
The
Okay,
Mage
I
King's
thought we were
Regalia.
further ahead. No, didn't we get some of the Ever Ice?
We got
Isn't
we
that-
got a tiny we got an Everice
Yeah.
spoon
Yeah, exactly.
or an Everice fork.
Yeah,
I'm halfway to my cocktail.
Exactly.
We have a fork of Everice and the Mage King's Regalia, and that's it.
So we're basically ready to go.
Yeah, very optimistic.
Sure.
Look, you can do a lot with a fork of Ever
But
Ice.
Valdeth will say, there are a variety of weapons and armors that have thus far, according to either ancient legend or Akashic knowledge, based on an extra-dimensional library, contain the potential of slaying the immortal.
In rituals.
And thus far, we've been in the process of hunting them down in order to find the weapons that will put an end to Ternalia.
Well, the assistance that we can offer, we're happy to do so, though.
Well, for one, Valdeth sort of looks over. Your priest of if there's a priest of Dagoth here, then that might be valuable for Titania in specific.
There's a several of them sort of look over in one direction and sorry, I'm looking up a name. Father Valdemar. As I turn and look, and the dark road figure in the corner with the book turns at the mention of his name and closes the book, stands and begins to approach. This is an ancient human, the oldest human any of you have ever seen. You've seen very old people. Typically, as far as humans go, you don't tend to see them get very old. 60, 70, 80, that's roughly the time where most of them fall over. This one seems to be like almost feels like if you sneezed at him, he would crumble into dust. Just haggard face, deeply white but cut short beard, kept very close to almost 5
Excuse me,
o'clock.
sorry.
Oddly doesn't disintegrate.
You lied to me, John.
Seems like
He looks like it.
wood. Seems like not wood. Looks very much like hang on. Looks very much like Sir Alec Guinness. But like even older than he was in A New Hope. Like,
I was gonna say, pretty damn old now.
I mean, yeah. But yeah, that's sort of like, shortcut, white-haired beard and shorter cut hair. But with like very, very, very keen and aware light blue eyes.
Please tell me he says hello there.
No. He just approaches in silence.
They be not afraid.
Looks over towards Tanya. So, another of our Lord Dagoth and Lady Argon's students. I know what you seek. And he has this sort of like inquisitive, not he doesn't look so much like he's sizing you up physically, but like he is sort of trying to determine the weight of your experience, which is obviously not something that you'd be able to look at.
I can.
I don't know if you're ready for the trial, but I also don't know if there's much other option we have.
Yeah.
It sort of raises an ancient gnarled finger and sort of crooks it towards himself as he towards you and then towards himself. Come with me. And he'll head back over to that corner where he had been sitting.
Yeah, she'll go. Give, because I think Valdeth and Gent were standing near-ish. Like a squeeze of the hand before I go, but she doesn't look back.
Father Valdemar.
Yep.
Sits back down where he was and actually pulls back out that same book as you come over and sit down. And as he does, he reaches over, pulls from inside his robes this sort of like tall black candle, sets it on the edge of the, sort of firms it on the edge of the table that he's sitting at, waves a hand over it. As his palm passes over it, the wick lights. And as the wick lights, the rest of you watch as the two of them vanish. Titania, you're still sitting there.
I
but
didn't
there
do
is
it.
This sort of black shroud that has sort of engulfed the two of you, and it's like you and this table are sort of, you, this table, and the father are sort of alone in a void.
Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, back on the other side of the illusion, Soleil. No, that's just something of a privacy spell. Not the first time Father Voldemar has used that, particularly any disciples of Dagoth that come visiting or assisting us. We do, obviously, there are more than just priests in this network. So, while they're talking, is there something specific that the rest of you might be looking for that we could at least ask about?
Aye. In specific, in this region of the ocean, there was a ship that sunk. And I give the details that we know of the Fiend Hunter's grave.
He looks over at the Valkyrie and the Marduk and the priest of Marduk, who both sort of like are thinking about something. The priest of Marduk. Well, I have heard tales of a ship bearing warriors hunting fiends and how it came to its death. I can ask some of my sailors and others that frequent my taverns to see what they know, what they found. Someone is bound to know where that ended up, at some place at least. I'm sure I can find some more information for you.
That would be most helpful. And then perhaps the most important thing that we're here for.
Jeremy?
Oh, no. I'm probably gonna say the same thing you are.
Yeah.
So.
And then the most important thing that we're here for is an ancient temple said to be in the center of these islands, and she'll describe the information we have on the Temple of Apotheosis.
To which oddly, the priest of Belnor speaks up, who's sort of a stout dwarf, as one might expect. Hey, I know a legend of the temple you're speaking of. An underwater ruin. Used to be a temple. At some point was actually a temple to my god, Lord of the Forge. Was a construction of artifice built to prove you can really, through the might of mortal hands, build a citadel beneath the waves. Wasn't as far beneath the waves as it is now, before when it was originally built, but when the land shattered, it sank further. So it's always been underwater, mind. I know where the old entrance was. I can show you that on a map. I don't know if it's gonna still be connected.
It is a start.
But it is, as you say, might as well be a start. You got the map on you?
Yeah, Valdeth will pull out her map.
He'll head over to that table as you sit and look at it. Right, so And he's just sort of looking over it. There was a coastal society of dwarves and gnomes and halflings before the land shattered, called Coralholm. And he sort of like points, he taps his finger down on the edge of this northern couple of islands. I will mark it on the map here.
Like there-ish.
Yeah. Right there. And he'll sort of mark on your map. Coralholm used to stretch a bit further along the coastline when it was a coastline and not just an island. And also went further underwater. The dwarves and halflings, they built their... legend says they built a society there for a union between land and water. They were seeking to provide a home where those who walk on land and those who swim beneath the sea could live together in harmony and unity. Marvels of engineering. Half the city completely submerged underwater. Yeah, good. Again, I don't know exactly how much of the landmass is left. It's been quite a while since last time I made my way out to Coralholm, but every once in a while you'll find a pilgrimage of Elner's faithful that's heading out there trying to discover and learn some of the the impressive technological features of the city.
Is that where the dwarves who became the Bellmenders are originally from?
Make a history check.
Okay.
Can Ithram, if nobody stops him, start perusing the books to see what kind of research they're doing?
Yeah, go ahead. Investigation check. And what language do you speak?
Natural 20, so a 19.
Natural 20.
18.
Grumman, for some reason, something in the back of your brain just like sparks. And you recall. Hang on as I look something up. As I look up a name I haven't read in a long time.
Ithram speaks Goblin,
I have
Common,
no
and
memory.
Primordial, but he also, if there's a language that he runs into that he can't understand,
Is it the name that I'm thinking of, John?
I don't know. Sorry, Dakota, keep going.
if he runs into a language he doesn't understand right away, he'll fidget with his Crystalline Chronicle and swap out a spell. Let's see. He'll swap out Shield for now for Comprehend Languages.
Okay.
And cast that.
So, Grummond, you're thinking back, and you suddenly remember a tale that you heard when you were a child. Of the mythical sire of the Bellmenders. You actually came from a different family line before you became known as the Bellmenders.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the Iron Hands, who were a family of dwarves that founded, or at least as you recall, they founded a great city that rose above and beneath the waves, was how it was told.
Okay.
And so that's go ahead.
I was just going to say, so what was this Iron Hand's name?
That was the family name. The family was the Iron Hands.
Okay. There wasn't one particular matriarch or patriarch.
You were told of the sire. You don't remember his name.
I remember his name.
You don't remember his name. You were probably told it at one point in time, but that was lost to the fogs of memory. That gives you that -1 to your history.
Yep.
But you do remember that the Bellmenders came from the Iron Hands, and they did come from what was described at one point as a city that rose above and beneath the waves.
Okay. So, and they were involved in its creation.
Yeah, the Iron Hands were the founders, the founding family.
Okay. Right. So Grumman kind of Grumman grins and says, "Ooh, sort of a ancestral homecoming sort of thing. That's the unless we're talking about something at cross purposes. That's the old home of the Iron Hands. The Bellmenders are of which the Bellmenders are an offshoot.
The dwarf thinks about it for a second. Right. The Iron Hands, the family of the Iron Hands were one of the dwarven clans that founded Coralholm. It was Iron Hands, and there was a bronze beard, and there's several like metal body parts seem to have been a favorite name of the old dwarves.
I don't hear much about the Dolomite Dicks anymore, but proud clan once upon a time.
Fortunately, they all died out a few centuries ago.
Would have loved this island, though.
Meanwhile, Titania.
Yep.
You're in this void where fortunately you've missed that entire conversation.
Yep.
In this blackness, with the only thing illuminated yourself, the Father Voldemar, and the table. He turns this book, sort of opens this book to the center, flips a few pages, and then turns it and slides it towards you. If you mean to summon a Reaper, you must give it reason and cause. If you mean to fight the Reaper, you must have the tenacity to endure death itself. The Reaper will not come if its purpose is not meant to be. You must die. And then you must fight the Reaper. From death, you claim its scythe. In that moment, with its power and the power over death, you would know the rule of your death. This is no half measure. There is no tricking our father's servants. You must die. And if you fail, dead you shall remain. Take solace in that it is not an impossible task. There are those before you that have done this. You are, in fact, one of the very few people that are mortal that have the capacity. But it is no shame to lack the courage to face this fate. So, do you have or do you lack?
I have.
He reaches into the sleeve of his robe and pulls out a vial. Puts it down on the table in front of you and takes his hand away. Inside that, you'll find concentrated elfsbane. It's a plant native to the Feywilds. It is deadly to most mortals, particularly your kind. If you imbibe that vial, and he sort of thinks for a second, depending on your constitution, It will either be quick or painful.
Hopefully quick. I get drunk really fast.
But either way, it will kill you.
Do you know what it will be like, the fight? Will I have my weapons? She'll indicate the stones on the gauntlet that Valdeth made her.
Yeah.
We've seen what their size can do. They cut through defensive magic?
Unfortunately, I have not died in this life. Nor have I come face with my Reaper. None who have share the experience.
That's fair.
I do not know. The theologian in me would say that your purest form would be what you have. That which you identify with closest. For the realm of spirits is a liminal plane. One of the mind. Hold tight to your vision of yourself. Keep it in your heart. That is the best advice I can offer.
Thank you. She will take it.
And make sure, before you imbibe this, that you have made your peace. Because it could be a one-way trip.
Yes. Thank you. She'll give him a hug.
He'll accept it. And as gnarled and grizzled as this old man is, he is warm.
She's shaking slightly.
And he sort of offers that sort of firm, grandfatherly embrace. And in your ear, since you're hugging, there is no shame to be afraid. Pushing through that fear. Because you have to. Because no other can. That is courage. And he'll let go of you. And as he does, he'll wave his hand over the candle and the fire will go out and the shroud lifts and you can see everyone else again. Those of you outside, you see that area where they had been is suddenly once again filled with the two people.
Relaxes a little bit.
All right, Titania.
Yeah.
Can I roll insight to see how Titania looks?
Sure.
Yeah, go ahead.
Same.
Uh-huh.
What's your passive deception, Titania?
I mean, what's the gaming
My
session if
passive
I'm not trying to empathy or
12.
insight
12?
one
That'd
of
be a
Mara's
29.
characters? Hold on.
He's a bartender. He's good at this.
Fortunately, I am still drunk.
I like
so
that being like the reasoning behind the insight, the good insight check.
even plastered at 19.
It's not hard for the two of you to see that Tanya is visibly shaking, but holding herself with a purpose.
Grummond will go over, and if she will accept it, we'll sort of reach up and like squeeze her hand.
She's sitting
We're the
down.
same.
So
We're
reach down.
probably the same height.
Are we?
Five-
Okay.
She's 5 foot. Nothing.
I think you got about a foot on me.
Okay.
Grummond's short and squat for a dwarf.
Okay.
Zara's eyes have narrowed a little bit, looking at the priests.
Can Scuzz also roll against?
Yeah, go ahead. Roll insight check.
Sorry, I was like listening. I was like, death shit. I feel like Scuzz. Nope.
Oh,
Scuzz has a bucket on his butt.
Scuzz, you're really there's an itch that you can't reach right now because of this fucking bucket.
Well,
Very distracted.
Very
this is the
distracted.
island on which you would get fucking buckets.
You can also you hear something like ting on the inside of the bucket, and you don't know if it's just like part of your pants or like a crab or something.
I will
Very
Grum-
distracted.
Grumman hands to Tanya a flask, one of the sort of copper rimmed ones, and says, "We can talk about it if you want, but if you want something a little calming and a little warming, you could get this down you too."
That didn't come through.
Oh, she'll take it. She doesn't drink it. She puts something in pocket.
Valdeth will step up and just kind of take both of Titania's hands.
With Valdeth, Grumman will step back and give them some space together, and we'll turn around. The priest of Marduk is still nearby.
Yeah, it seems like he's scribbling something down real quick.
Sort of, it reminded, giving the drink reminded Grumman, and he turns back and says, "Oh, you're asking if there's anything we need. I mean, I'll ask this of any of you, but specifically to you. The priest of Marduk has not given us a name, right?"
No.
Sorry, I didn't catch your name, Grumman Belmender of Swiggle.
Hang on.
Dance, Jim. We can also come back to it.
No. I've got it here. I just had to. I keep typing the wrong thing. Yeah. Leofston. And I'll hold out a hand. Finger of Marduk.
Grab it, shake, whatever the appropriate. Grumman's a follower of Marduk, so whatever the appropriate handshake is.
Yep.
And then say, "I've got this recipe for possibly the best cause of and cure of hangovers ever, but I need to get a phoenix feather for it. Do you have any idea where I might be able to find one
He thinks for a second.
other than in a phoenix's arse?"
I mean, that'd be the first place I'd look.
Right. Well, if you know where a phoenix in his arse is, point me in that direction. But
Well, in that case, I'd look in the elemental plane of fire. It's where they live.
right.
Being elder fire elementals, after all.
Grumman turns and gives like a thumbs up to oh my god. To Ithram. I'm sorry, Cody. I totally blanked on your character's name.
You're good.
But who I think has suggested elemental plane of fire before. So Grumman's like, "Oh, you were right. Good job."
As for a feather, I mean, they're collector's items. Phoenix is one of the very few elementals that have a physical form that isn't just the element they represent. So,
Right.
a phoenix feather, or even the down of a phoenix, is particularly valuable. If you were to look for something like that, and you didn't want to traverse the realm of fire, I'd look for any particularly
Enough of a
wealthy.
stuck running out here today.
Exactly. I'd look for any particularly wealthy investors or collectors, likely to have one somewhere, or lead you to someone who does.
Anyone like that on this island?
We are very good at removing coin from purses rather than allowing the rich to get richer here.
Oh, just figured one of them might be out here getting sauced or something on holiday.
No,
But I appreciate the advice.
this is a trade post. They send their servants here, not themselves.
Sadly, like missing out then.
I'd agree.
Well, thank you, Finger. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Oh, that's just holds both of Titania's hands. You're shaking, dear.
He leaving yet?
Did not come through, Mara.
Yeah. I just confirmation of something I've suspected for a little while on how to face the Reaper spirit that I need to. It's going require me to die.
I mean, even if it didn't, if you failed, you would have died anyway. We knew this was going to be a life or death encounter.
Mm-hmm.
We
But-
perhaps discuss this elsewhere.
None of the priests seem particularly surprised.
But if anyone can do this kind of thing, it's you, Valda said as she sort of runs a finger over the wedding ring. And no matter what happens, you're never going to lose me. Doesn't matter which side of the veil you're on, I'll always know where you're at. But I think you're going to kick Death's fucking bony arse, if I'm being honest.
There's that elicits a dry chuckle from Father Voldemir.
Up in the sun.
What was that?
Let's go up into the sun.
All right. Let's go.
Really quickly, with Ithram's 18 investigation. Most of what you're seeing here are religious texts. Not they're religious texts and stories. It looks like what they're doing is sort of poring over basically every legend or fable or myth or prophecy that they could find, and trying to decipher enough of it to sort of make a game plan. You see references like as you're sort of doing a quick skim, and you do end up having to cast comprehend languages because several of it's in language that you don't understand.
Okay.
As you're sort of doing a skim, you find tales mostly of holy sites, of places of specific importance to the various gods, and also of places to importance of gods that don't exist anymore or haven't or don't exist yet. Some of these are tomes of a divination nature, which is to say they are books that have been written before the things have happened.
Okay.
And so yeah, they seem to be combing as much of their history as they can backwards and forwards to, at the very least, determine a route or at least the next target in order to get defenses set up before whatever happens.
Okay. He'll have a couple quick questions for them.
Mhm.
Have whoever seems who is there anyone particularly that seems to be like in charge or the largest collection of them?
They're mostly they seem to
Are
be
they all just hanging around
They're
together?
all sort of collaborative. Like there are several that are
Okay.
several that are paying attention to the group of you that have come in. Some that are continuing their research regardless.
Have any of you been able to determine the full extent or nature of Ternellian's portfolio through these researches, or perhaps through the methods he's been able to use to break these anathemas of the other gods?
There is hang on. Yeah, so there's a fairly lithe orc, as far as orcs are concerned. Still very tall, but not as wide. Who is very clearly bearing the mark of Koltir, sort of emblazoned on his chest.
Nod and give him
He just
a
sort of
Koltirian greeting.
nods back to you and leans over. Selleck, we've We haven't been able to determine the full extent of his portfolio, but it seems that his portfolio is diverse, or at least his powers are. Whatever the nature of your god emperor over in Taram, it seems to be multifaceted.
Inherited most of his portfolio from his late father then.
That would be the idea, yes. At least as far as the powers that are being on display. The late god emperor wasn't much of a show off, so there's not much in the way of mostly it's all assumption, order, law, based on the society built around him. But it seems that this a more accurate term might be dominion or domination. The current god emperor shows capabilities of being able to command, to hold, to bind to his service. And at the betrayal of that service or that bond, to inflict vast punishment. Former priests of the God Emperor have had their powers entirely stripped because they refused to. He usurped the oaths that they had made previously, and in refusal to serve him, he stripped them of all power. That sort of thing. So, the best.
Sorry.
The best sort of generalization that we could have is chaos, war, law and order, and all the implications that those varied dominions might imply.
Perhaps you have thought of this already, but once individuals in your network that are skilled in various magics, whether they be divine or arcane, if you have enough, perhaps we can use the same tactic that he is using against the other gods against him in a slightly subtler way. If we can figure out anathemas of his, we may be able to. There's something we are researching that will require a great amount of energy, arcane energy, divine energy. If we could perhaps siphon a bit of his own power off to fuel it, perhaps visiting the sites he's already desecrated, reconsecrating them, things that he already may hold dear, likely closer to Taram. He is one for, he likes to find himself cunning, so perhaps we can use that arrogance against him.
Not a bad thought, and one we've had before. The current assumption, and these are assumptions, we have no proof yet, is that anything he finds anathema would be anything that contradicts his world order. So, we would have to prove to him that he is false or that he is wrong, which is difficult conceptually. Likely, as you say, taking back land he's captured would be a good step in that direction. I don't know if it's divinely powerful enough. We don't have enough information on him personally to know how accurate that assumption of his anathema is. It's a highly personal thing per god.
Yes.
So it's a good idea, and it's the track that we've been working towards, but we simply have not enough information to say what would be the correct path there. But we are still looking.
Well, he seems to currently enjoy dominion over fiends and demons. if perhaps word was to spread to the hells that he is only carries dominion over weak-willed fiends and demons, perhaps his armies may dwindle.
It does fall into the investigation we've done to his portfolio. That's how we determine that those who betray him are removed of their power. Even if you could convince a demon or a devil to betray him, they'd immediately lose their fiendish power as part of the bargain you struck with them. Though, you've given me
They would just be returned to the hells.
No, he would consume them entirely. We've seen it happen.
Would turn around and walk out at this point.
Though, we have that is an idea. So, San, as you're walking out, you catch the last bit of the sentence. If you could redeem a devil or a demon, that might do something towards an anathema. And so, Sin, that's the last thing you hear as you exit.
Okay.
Sin.
Redeem it how?
That's a good
That's
question.
the fun part.
Like, just sit it down in therapy, or tell it it's a good boy, or have it correct its sins.
We're going to have to binge. No, I'm just kidding.
Double
Fiends,
it up. It is a demon.
fiends are creatures of evil, not conceptual, moral, or ethical. They are evil made manifest. To redeem one, you'd have to turn it into a creature of good made manifest, for whatever that means.
Ithram smirks a little bit.
So, like, hear me out. I get what you're saying, but also you're ascribing your beliefs of evil onto the devil, right? So, like, the devil would have to ascribe to its beliefs of evil to become good for our beliefs. You know what I'm saying? Because, look, people look at me as a goblin. They're like, "Oh, it's a fucking goblin. Kick it in the shin." They think I'm,
You say
I'm
to
a
the
bad
orc.
guy. Yeah, no, you get it. But they're not kicking you, and they're not kicking you because you're not small. Maybe they're kicking you. Who's kicking you? Who I gotta bite? Anyway, sorry, tangent. But like, you know what I mean. Devils are made evil incarnate, but that's by our laws, not by theirs.
Devils and angels are the manifestation of belief.
Yeah, our beliefs.
Yes.
I'm not trying to actually like philosophize with you. I'm just trying to say we would have to make them do evil shit by their metric, which would be good
We would
shit
have-
by ours. Does that make sense? Am I making sense? I might not be making sense.
I understand where you're going, Scott.
Thank you.
The last time I heard someone make that particular discussion, it was right before a spine devil ate their face, so
Did they take the arm? No, they take the face.
I'm not certain what the point there was, but
I had a devil take my arm once, and then I almost got turned into a devil. But I'm okay now.
good to know.
It was a long time ago.
He seems very confused about what Scuzz was trying to get about the point Scuzz was trying to get across.
Scuzz almost got a little glassy-eyed there talking that. Like, almost like that wasn't actually him talking for just a hot second. Sorry, that was my friend Malik. He talked a lot about how what we consider our beliefs to be different from others and how we should have an open mind. But I get what you're saying. Devils are the manifestation of evil, but by whose laws? Is it ours? Is it the divine beings? Is it theirs?
Make a religion check, Scuzz.
You want it to be a disadvantage because Scuzz is talking out of his ass right now.
No, just flat roll.
What was his priest's name again?
Selic.
So
16.
16. So
last name Tome.
hang on. Selic. No last name given.
I got the joke, Dakota.
With the 16s, guys, as you're
He
sort of
doesn't have enough of a mustache.
as this secondary voice is coming out of your mouth, both you and the secondary voice realize what he was saying. Devils and demons are evil because the people on Gran Terra believe them to be evil.
Yeah.
Whereas, and you sort of recall, right, Kultir. The only reason Kultir is in the evil pantheon is because people believe war to be evil.
Yeah.
And so you sort of start thinking about maybe if we can just change the way everybody thinks about what is evil and what is good, then we could redeem them by flipping it around.
Because it has that moment where he's like, do we want to change everybody on to like this the planar level of like what they think is good to evil, that sort of shit? And he's like, or do we want to change? Do we want to just be like, hey, devils, do you want to just like switch your shit? It's because it's like, it's because there's a moment where he's like, I don't think I have the time or we have the mental capacity to like change everybody on the material plane to think.
Welcome to our new propaganda campaign.
God, no.
Gran Terra.
That's all you do at level 20 is just convince people that the alignment system is bullshit. Anyway.
We are switching over to the paranoia system.
GTSSR. There we go.
Fantastic.
All right. So, Titania, Valdeth, Ghent have all gone up to the up. Sin has gone out. Vespia, Ithram, Skaz, Grummond. What are you four doing?
He's just had that moment. He's like, I gotta sit down.
I'm gonna give
bleeding out
him.
of the nose.
I'm gonna give him some information about my parents and the legions and desolation. That he may be able to gain some more information from, at least expand their network, and then after that, he'll just head outside and wait for everybody else to finish their business.
You know what? Skaz sits down in his bucket because he's still stuck in a bucket. He's been having this conversation in a bucket. He looks back at Selig, into that beautiful, glorious mustache, and asks, You ever met somebody that's been born again that remembers the past lives?
A few times. More common than it seems.
What, do you know what happens to them?
Each individual is different. Some come to terms with it. Some don't.
The ones that come to terms with it, do you know how many lives they remembered, or is it just it fluctuates?
It depends. Most don't awaken to a life so much as they awaken to a soul. One that isn't there, or one that was theirs but in a different form. Our souls are recycled through this mortal coil. We die, we go to our gods, we come back. Sometimes, depending on the soul, depending on the person, bits of that past self stick around, or can be awakened. In the annals of history, there have been some handful of legendary figures that have awakened to the souls of their past selves, that have spanned multiple lifetimes of existence.
Well, I've always been a goblin. I've always been Skuz. I've always had a dog, and I've always had friends, and I've always just been around. That doesn't sound very legendary to me.
What seems ordinary to one is extraordinary to another. All a matter of perspective.
There's always a dog, and there was always a bucket.
I remember when I was young, I had dreams of a life that I'd never lived. could be aspects of my own soul. But I distinctly remember falling into a monster summoned beneath the city that I was trying to defend.
Me too. Was it a kraken? Was she protecting her babies? Did you have to send your friends on a scavenger hunt?
All I remember is death. And for all I know, it may just be the overactive imagination of a child. But it could also be a fragment of my soul reaching out to the past.
Do you have a scar on your butt?
Not as far
They
as
say
I'm
that
aware.
They say that like the birthmarks that are left over on your body is when you got killed.
Not as far
Probably
as
on
I'm
his
aware.
back then.
I just the things that I remember. I've never actually like. I've always died of old age. The ones that I can remember. Every single one of them. I got a beard, and I'm sitting on a rocking chair. I've got lands and lands of goblin dogs. And I'm always at peace when I go over. And I do know, I remember going over. So why do they keep bringing me back?
That's not a question I can answer.
Damn it. I've asked so many people. Maybe I
Yep.
get to ask the God King again.
Maybe you need to ask the right one.
Sound like you're not the right one?
No, not in this case.
Can you help me out of the bucket at least?
Yes, I can do that.
Thank you.
He'll reach over, grab you sort of like by the shoulder, grab the bucket with his other hand, and there's a crumple sound as his fingers bend the bucket, and then there's a and then a crab falls out of the bucket and onto the ground and skitters away.
I already got Oscar. I don't need a crab.
Can I
keep the
grab it?
bucket.
I mean, if you want. It's not very big. It's like this.
Poisson, le poisson.
Natural one. I do not grab a crabber.
You try to, you reach out to grab the crab, and you reach out to grab it right as its pincers are clicking, and it just like gets like just pinches your finger really hard.
Oh, butt crabbed in
And
my
then-
new finger.
and then continues on its way.
That crab is feisty.
Gonna cook it up with the Oscar.
You can keep the bucket as a souvenir.
He looks at this bucket that has his hands in has like his hand indentation in the bottom of it.
Mm-hmm.
I think you might find more use of it. And he sort of hands it back.
Well, I'm
to you.
already a bucket.
So, you head on out.
Gus
It doesn't
grabs
lead
the
into
bucket.
background. It's his name.
So Grummond chases the crab out. Scuzz carries the dented bucket out.
How is? Sorry,
Oh, go ahead, Greg.
I was just asking. How is Scuzz looking?
Scuzz looks thoughtful. He's no worse for wear, honestly. Just
You said no worse or a little worse.
no, he's no worse for wear.
Okay.
But he is very thoughtful. You can definitely tell there's a like long thought train going on through Scuzz's mind. If you were to peek in, you would hear just a lot of that math gif that's going on
Right.
in Scuzz's brain right now.
Just like the Jeopardy decision music happening, just ding, ding, ding.
I wouldn't even think it's that. It's literally just like just a bunch, just like thought train. Just Scuzz is just thinking over a lot. He's pensive. Yeah.
Doing all right. Yeah, man.
Yeah. Just, you always get introspective when you're talking to a priest.
Suppose so. Well, you want to talk anymore? I'm not a priest, but
Yeah, you're my dad.
Always listening. Grumman smiles and then sort of pauses and digs into a pocket
I
and
got plenty of your candy. I'm good.
pulls out two things. And you can see the first thing he pulls out is a hard candy. And he's like, "Oh well, why don't you take this one too?" And the other one is a little broken bell. And he said, "We met so much of the family when we were back there, but we're bellmenders, and you're a bellmender too. So I've got enough kids. What's one more? If you want to, that's fine. But however you want to call me, do consider yourself a bellmender, a bellmender bucket, or bucket bellmender. They hyphenate often. Bring a lot of them into the family."
Does like sniffles a little bit, and thanks, Grumman. Here, and he like puts the bell down. He hands you the dented bucket. He's like, there you go. You can be a buckets now too.
There we go.
You should meet my mom.
I'd like to.
You and her will get along real well. She loves cooking.
Grumman like very clearly looks like slightly uncomfortably at like if Scuzz has any trinkets on that might be his mom.
No, I don't. I don't actually have anything on me that reminds me of mom. I just have it in my heart and also in my cholesterol because she makes a lot of really fatty foods.
Well, like you're halfway to being a bellmender already. Then is she still with us?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think she's fought off death more than I have.
Well, I'll tell you what.
With fewer weapons.
Mm-hmm. With a ladle, actually.
Once we get all this set to bed, why don't you and your mum come to Swiggle and we'll all go for a beach holiday somewhere together. All of the bellmenders and the buckets.
The BBs. I like it. Yeah.
This is like just taking place outside, right?
Yeah, you're hearing this conversation as they're coming out.
This is delightful. Can we leave now?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this could have been happening as we're walking, but I think Vespia has stayed behind, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
So
I'm so sorry to step on your thing, Holly.
everyone but Vespia has exited so far. Holly.
Mhm. As she watches the others leave, she'll just ask the room in general, what are the chances they all make it out of this alive?
Father Valdemar is the first one to speak up. As with any endeavor, the chances of success vary with the dedication, the preparation, faith, and the courage of those undertaking them. You're looking for flat objectivity, very low. We have never in our history had anyone kill a god that was not themselves close enough to one for the difference to be negligible. But you look into their eyes and their heart, and you are confident. Never ask anyone the odds, for they'll never be in your favor. But a good fight is not one that you go into when the odds are in your favor. It's one you go into in spite of the fact that they aren't.
All right. Thank you.
He nods.
And then Vespia will leave.
So, you are all outside, standing in the shadow of this crumbling monument.
All right, now can we go?
That didn't come through, Mara.
Where are we going?
Literally anywhere.
How does Sin look?
Same that they've been pretty much the whole time, which is looking like they're keeping themselves from stabbing priests.
Okay.
You want a drink?
I don't know if I can have many more before I fall over and have to crawl. I am fine.
Maybe you
Just
should
need
go
to go
somewhere a little more
elsewhere.
enjoyable.
But there's like the panty place or the drink place.
Or back to the ship so we can discuss and plan, maybe.
Yeah.
About the beach. I mean, they're kind of. I don't know how busy the ship's gonna be. They're prepping. There's lots of places that they don't have a lot of people.
Fair.
To get further out.
It's a good island to find a private room.
That too.
I can find a small spot on the beach to talk.
We also
Watch the
haven't
sunset.
used. We also haven't. If we want to plan, haven't used the key in quite a while. If we set it up on the beach, those that want to can stay outside, enjoy. Those that want to research or plan can do so inside.
You could also use my chest.
There's a big chest tiara on the island, but none as grand as yours.
Thank you.
As much as I enjoy that joke, the tower actually potentially has more research materials.
That is true.
Tower it is.
Very well.
Let's head down to the beach.
It's a short walk to the beach.
The wave.
Considering
Hey,
it's an island.
hey, what they gonna say?
Find a secluded spot on the beach. Ithram, you pull out your key.
I think this is the door, and then I just jab it in front of me.
And Scuzz leans over to Vespi and she's like, I hope he doesn't do that in alone time.
Secrets, darling.
What secrets? What are secrets?
Good old blind guess thrust. It's right 50% of the time. Ithram sticks his key in the door and opens it up for you.
Wow.
And you will go.
They're all nasty.
You
I'm
go
not
on
ashamed of anything.
in. You go on into the tower.
Scuzz grabs Titania's just tugs at her sleeve. Hey, so I know I only caught a little bit of that because I was stuck in a bucket and I was very confused and thinking about a lot of other things.
Yeah, that's okay.
It happens, I know. But I know that death is your whole thing, and I know the upcoming death of the world is their whole thing, and I only deal with a portion of death, and probably not even a good portion of death. But if there's any way I can help, I want to. I want to help some way for you.
Thank you, Scuzz. I don't think you can.
Are you sure?
Yeah. We each face death on our own. I want to do this.
That's not very fair. I didn't have to face death at all on my own. You
No?
don't have to if you don't want to. No. I always had friends around me. I always had friends holding my hands, and telling me how proud they were of me. I always had friends and dogs next to me, letting me know that every part of my life that had touched theirs meant something to them. And it let me know that I was fulfilled. I was happy.
That's fair. He'll sit down and give you a big hug and just hold on.
You
On the other
Every-
side. That's what I mean.
well, even if you
That's
are on the other
just-
side,
Gonna be me. It has to.
I know it's gotta be you. But even if it feels like it's just you, it's going to be all of us also backing you up. Always. And I'll be at the front of the line.
I know.
Scuzz gives you a very big hug.
Yep.
As big as he can because he's very small.
And then she's gonna just keep hugging you when we go in the door.
I like
Yeah.
So, you are all in the tower. Food is had, drink is had. Blue-tinted servants abound to provide for your every whim.
Drummond, what if we make Oscar the meal of the day, and then everybody gets teleportation powers?
I don't think that's how it works, but it is a mighty fine catch. So we can certainly cook up the Oscar.
Gus pulls out Oscar from his hold. Oscar is very dead. Super,
Oh yes,
very, very dead. Just
but
slams him
nicely
down.
preserved.
While you're cooking, any specific plan-making conversations that would like to be done?
What is next?
Well, in the morning, we'll probably need to see if the Finger of Marduk has found any information about the Fiend Hunter's grave.
All right.
Other than that, we know the rough location of the temple now. So we have a destination to sail to as far as ultimate goals.
How far is it on the map?
You are currently... I've been waiting for someone to ask this question because you haven't actually asked where you were yet.
Craig, I'm glad you asked it because I was about to ask.
You are currently...
You are here.
Nope. Good guess, but no.
Damn it.
No. Still no. No.
Mm-hmm.
Nope.
If you lived here, you'd be home by now.
Nope. Here.
I like how this has become multiple choice.
Wait, all the
Right.
way down there?
Yeah.
We're here.
Shit.
Wait, what?
We've barely gotten into the Shattered
You've
Lands.
only been on the
okay.
ocean for a day.
A day, yeah. It hasn't been
Look
that
at-
long.
You
My
skipped a
sense
good
of-
portion because you got launched into the air and had to glide a good way.
Yeah.
We had to stop for repairs, so
So how much distance is that?
That's about... So you actually jumped over an island when you got launched?
Since
Yeah.
obviously we're not sailing straight
Shit,
through.
we
and
only
cutting
got
through the
30
island.
feet to go. We're almost there.
You've gone about, like, realistically, if you had just sailed and hadn't hit the event that you did, you would be over here. So you gained about 2 days, or about a day, 2 days worth of travel.
I mean,
You're about,
Realistically.
if you don't hit any other
just saying.
things. Let's see, hang on.
What you're saying is we
trying
need
to
to
not-
divine where another
There we go.
Turn off.
waterfall spot is going to be and launch ourselves over another part of the island, and we'll be good.
Question: How
So
much
There
you're
was some
about,
away?
you're about a week away.
No, John,
sort of
I
like
want you to
the-
hear the spite in my voice when I talk about the waterfalls
Yeah.
that we'll need to use to possibly launch yourself over the island.
You're about a week of traditional sailing away from from Coral Home.
So, but we would gain some speed if we did go chasing waterfalls.
Yes.
No, we need to stick to the rivers and lakes that we're used to.
God.
Yes. If you did,
I like Thursday nights because I have somebody to gang up on Jeremy with me.
Well, you'd gain some speed if you use the airship mode of the continual reconstruction. It's just that they don't want to do that in case something worse in the sky happens. Which is why they
time is of the essence.
They sort of stick to using it as emergency glide if they get launched.
I feel like Gint might be able to help out a little bit. He's been gung ho to help out down there for a while, so like.
So.
Well, he is on his honeymoon.
Do we have a clear plan regarding once we get to the temple and we get through and we kill the horrible, monstrous things that are there to kill us?
I don't think that. We have the beginnings of plans. I don't think we can fully form a plan until we know exactly what's there. We're walking into uncharted territory.
Do we have an intent?
I mean, between the group of us, Titania, I don't think you're particularly keen on apotheosis. And there's an individual who's currently holding back a literal plane-eating apocalypse, even if we stop the current one. I am of a mind to stop that from happening.
Agreed.
Yeah. I don't want to be reborn into a new world that's been beaten up.
So
we would need to get. Depends on what do we have to do the ritual there? Do we get the ritual there, etc.
There's a lot of factors to figure out once we find out more about the thing itself.
So our intent then is to get there and figure out how to give Galadir godhood.
Yeah.
At essentially.
Still yet to meet this Galadir.
You don't want to.
I haven't met him
He is
either.
the worst.
I was
Still
on house
looking forward
arrest.
to it.
So
He is the worst, and I say this as a warlock of him.
Are we certain then this is someone we want to be giving the power of the god?
Yes, because we do not have an option, and it's not like outside of the
Let me put it to you this
God
way:
King.
Galadir might be the
matter
worst.
anyways.
Galadir might be the worst, but I'm fairly certain he wants everyone to leave him the fuck alone. So
He's
as
the
a
asshole
god,
you know, not the asshole you don't.
as a god, I'm not particularly worried he's going to start dominating places when he just wants people to fuck off and leave him alone.
He's not going to God King the situation.
I'm not saying that I disagree, but I am going to throw out one idea that I had today. They talked about the fact that we can do some harm by proving fallibility. Is there some way we could combine the two and elevate someone, perhaps Galadir? I'm not certain of the details, but perhaps Galadir, perhaps someone else, elevate someone to godhood and have that
Apotheosis.
Thank you. Have that be a mark of fallibility in and of itself.
I mean, it might very well be because someone else achieved this thing that he would have seen to have been his own personal right. Might very well be a mark against him.
Yeah, he would no longer have
Titania,
sole dominion over this
Donnie,
plane.
you don't want to be a god, do you?
Yeah, who do we hate enough to make them a god?
Being a god does not seem like a fun business, no. So
I mean-
Galadir still seems like the best bet in that regard.
Everyone who wants
I-
to can make a religion check, by the way.
Hey, I love all the religion checks tonight, John. This is
well,
great.
About what I
about-
expected.
talking
Keep getting
about
what
the
I'm
gods.
expecting.
Oh, hey! Yeah, also really good for Scuzz right now.
Thespia was the only one that rolled high enough.
I don't know, John. I got a 7.
Yep, I saw.
I got an 18. I'm 2 points
You
away.
did. Holly, you know that you just as they're sort of going down this line, you know, and they might know and just have forgotten. Ternalian is not the only god on this side of the divine plane, the divine veil. Minor deities spring up anywhere there's enough belief. The Everstone of Everstone is one of those very things.
Happened to Impulse.
Impulse
Sorry.
is another one. Yeah, exactly. Like several, they've met. You know, the chosen of Impulse, and they the thing that separates the God King, the God Emperor, from the other minor deities is that the God Emperor has the power to rival and affect the prime deities, which is the big thing. It's not that he's a god. It's that because he's not the only one here. It's that he is exponentially more powerful than any minor deity should be. That's the thing that sets him apart.
So there are some minor deities around here.
Oh, as a follower of one, I'm well aware.
Well, the thing that seems to set him apart is that, I'm sorry, please repeat for a second, John.
The thing
He's
that sets him
super
apart,
powerful.
yeah, isn't that he's a god on the side of the divine veil. It's
Mhm.
it's that he is a god on the side of the divine veil that has the power to contend with the prime divines.
Yes.
But I wasn't necessarily suggesting that we having something as powerful as him would render him fallible. I was thinking, I don't know if he's ever made a comment like, "You'll always be mortal. Well, I am a god," or something like that.
I mean, has he ever gone against the power of friendship?
The last thing that we want is somebody else as powerful as him here.
Mhm.
Literal the last thing. Well, no, literal the last thing is the goop eating the universe, but you know. Second to last.
What sort of goop?
The one that you lost your
The
hands
one
to.
that you lost your hand to, Drummond.
So do we settle on goop for a name?
I thought if it was like metal.
I believe we heard the name of its home.
We're not. I'm not worried about what we're calling it at the moment.
Whirly. Sorry, Jeremy. That's Nikki. You did that great. It was wonderful.
Still good. I'm not worried about what we are calling.
I just, if you were the one who lost your hand to it, you might be more inclined to sort of.
Drummond.
I'm not wrong. We did hear
Forest,
its name from
Creed.
the planeswalker.
We are
that
looking
met,
at the forest at the moment.
You're right.
You heard it referred to as oil.
Okay. I thought we heard Phyrexia mentioned, but okay.
You may have heard Phyrexia mentioned, but it wasn't like in direct reference to the oil.
Right.
Well, regardless of what you guys are saying, yes, the tree to the forest. If not this dude, then whomst else?
I really can't think of anyone else that would want to be put through that suffering for any particular reason.
Absolutely not.
I mean, I'd do it.
Since Vespi brought it up, would this ritual be able to elevate an already somebody that's already a deity to his level?
Do we know of any that would want to do it?
If they want to do it, we don't want them to do it.
By that metric,
Nobody who wants to become a god should be a god.
by that metric, then I guess any of us would be the second best choice.
I do it for you guys. Y'all are my friends. I'd make sure that you were able to live happy, long lives.
You
Have plenty of buckets.
You are too good a person to become a god.
I'm a goblin.
My statement stands.
I'd still do it though.
Let's have you stay a goblin and not a godlin.
Okay. But someone's gonna have to beat my wiggle roll to stop me if it comes to that at the end.
Don't worry, I will banish you if if it comes to that.
I'd wiggle past your banishment very quickly in the snow.
I take this, and Titania pulls out the vial. Before we go, and there was some concern about the apotheosis site being guarded by immortals.
Speculation, but yes.
This blade that I will be fighting for can kill anything, even if it's immortal.
Oh. That's
You want to do it now?
I want to find out if we're going after the Fiend Hunter's grave first.
Hmm. So we'll wait for the morning.
Yes.
With a half-constructed plan, and a
As
few
is
ideas,
tradition.
Progress!
and a few ideas about what's coming next. A lot of you take in the information you've received today, prepare to act on it in the morning. And that's where we're going to go ahead and end for this week. So that we're all here next week when Titania dies. Say goodbye,
like
everybody.
second time again.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Goodbye.